What up? What up? What up? What's good, gang? Welcome back, Men to Mind, episode 9. We are here. We are actually nearing the end of season 2, which is crazy to think that season 1 was a steep 20 episodes. We cut it back a bit this season, right? Aiming for 10 here. So we are 90% done. We got some really special guests lined up for you all today. Good friends of Nick right here. We have Kyle and Joe joining us today. And per usual, we are going to let them give an intro, tell you about themselves, let you all know if there are any social media platforms you all can follow them on if you want to reach out just for more questions, right? Again, we're here for you all. We want this to be beneficial. We want you all to take something away from here. So, Kyle, Joe, whoever wants to take the floor first, y'all are more than welcome. Give the people a lovely little intro here, and then we'll dive into this.
I'll go for it, man.
Okay, I guess I'll go for it. My name's Kyle Meyer. Based right now out of Rolla, Missouri. I am originally from Monett, Missouri, 2 hours about southwest from here. But I've been all around the country. Went to Stanford University for my undergrad. Wrestled out there. 3-sport athlete in high school. Football, wrestling, baseball. But went on to wrestling. Got a psych degree out there, and then moved to Tennessee to get my master's in sports psychology and motor behavior. And then joined in doing the military right now. And I just started my own sports psych consulting, coaching business, Mental Mechanics. If you want to look up that a little more, mentalmechanicscoaching.com. Also got a Facebook page, working on athletes, groups, did a couple coaching workshops. So really excited about today. Just kind of dive in and talk about, kind of nerd out a little bit.
Sweet. We love it. We love it. Thanks for the intro, Kyle. And again, y'all, go use these resources, right? We bring people on who are experts in the field or working on being an expert in their field and want to help, want to offer themselves as resources to us. So utilize everything we have here. We bring different guests on because we understand that not every person is everybody else's cup of tea, right? We want to give you all a wide variety of people to choose from. So Kyle, awesome. Joe, go ahead and rock out, man. You delegated now it's being pointed at you.
Absolutely. Glad to be here, guys. I'm Joe Stonecipher. Joe is easiest. I am also a Missouri boy myself. Kind of moved around a lot, spent some time down Springfield near where Kyle was at. Been up in the northern part of the state, so moved around a lot. I went to Missouri State for my undergrad and then moved out to Muncie, Indiana at Ball State, got my grad work done out there. And I've been part of the Army Resilience Program for 10 years at this point in time. So I've been doing the job for a hot minute, and I feel like the old guy in the program. So played sports, high school, college. Football primarily. I was banned from playing basketball for everyone else's safety, including my own teammates. In terms of social media platforms, nothing really. I've got my own personal Facebook page. Glad to chat with anybody if you're curious about any of these topics. I will probably chat your ear off, but yeah, I'm excited for today.
And that's cool. That's what we want. We want as much information as you're willing to give us, right? Both of you all. So again, thank you both a ton for hopping on with us today. Nick has our topic, and we are going to jump right into it. So, Mr. Nick, let's get it.
Yeah, well, this one's going to be quick, right? Because we already decided that the answer to it is a cookie. Show. But on a serious note, the question that we're looking at today is, what is the smallest change you can make that will have the largest impact on your life? Something along those lines. Gave it to you guys a little bit in advance. I think it's going to be one that you both enjoyed, hopefully. But it felt right up both your alleys, and we all know each other from work. So I'll leave that open-ended. Again, what is the smallest change you can make for the largest impact for your life? And let's see where it takes us.
I'll let Joe go first since I had the intro first.
Delegation, man. I love it. All right. So I have to preface this that I loved this question, and I also hated this question so much. A big challenge for me growing up was the idea of having favorites, having something that tops everything else. So having to pick one single thing in this realm that we study and that we love, to narrow it down to a single thing, I was chomping at the bit, just trying to get something that would work. And even throughout today, I was trying to figure out something that I felt confident saying, yes, this is the one thing that I would suggest. And sadly, I still didn't make a decision. But what I did come up with was the idea of, if you take essentials off the board, narrowing it down now. Like, so are you taking care of your body? Are you taking care of making sure you're getting nutrition, hydration, sleep, sunlight, quality connection with people, deliberate rest? And the last one is gratitude, having some type of gratitude practice. If you're doing all of those things, you're going to be doing pretty well. You're going to be doing pretty well. But it also felt just gimmicky to throw that way. Like, yeah, everybody everywhere says that. So if you take those off the table, what's left? And the thing that kind of stood out to me that I think gets neglected is our reliance on technology, even this. And the biggest change that I have found in my own life is something that I personally have applied, and I've gotten a lot of good with it. It sounds silly. Write with a pen or pencil, handwrite as much as you can. And I want to expand on this because it sounds ridiculous. But what this does, when we are in our normal day-to-day, doing texting, doing phone, doing computers, everything, the way of typing works with a specific part of our brain. And we get very habitualized into doing that. And when we actually have to physically write, when we actually have to take a pen and process our thinking, there is so much good that comes from being able to just slow down, actually think through, collecting your thoughts, processing what you have going on upstairs, and being able to take the information that you're trying to make sense of. And through the act of writing, you're actually discovering along the way. Kyle and Nick have both worked with me, and I would say they both know that I'm a big flip chart person. I like to write on the whiteboard. I like to diagram. It's a joke at this point, but like, if I need to dissect an idea, I'm going to the whiteboard.
Joe, we would get along so well, man. Like, I would love to be able to work about it because I'm the exact same way. If I got an idea, if I do not write it down, I am no good for anyone at all. All right. I need to put this idea. We need to visualize this. I need to see this. I got arrows going from here. Then I got a star that's up here. A smiley face over it. Like, I get it, man.
So just like the way we connect with information is fundamentally different when we write it down. Like, actually write. So when I was thinking through this, I'm like, that sounds so ridiculous. But like, if you look into it, the benefits of actually handwriting, and journaling, and all of these things have so far-reaching a benefit. That's what I established. I've got a few others kind of down the road that I might sprinkle in, but that's the big one. Write things down.
Sweet. Okay.
Yeah.
Nick or Kyle, y'all got one?
I mean, he kind of did at the end, but I was gonna say journaling is a part of that. That wasn't the one I came in with, but definitely journaling. I've done a lot more. I actually just got it right now. You guys taking notes. I have a little like pocket journal that I love just carry around with me. Creative ideas, to-do lists, just things that because my mind kind of goes a million miles an hour, and sometimes it's like thinking about it, and then something else comes up. We're all so busy. There you go. That we have some great ideas, and actually in my undergrad we talked about creativity, and that's one way to increase creativity is just having that dead space and time of the day. And what is just those shower thoughts, right? Everybody knows those shower thoughts, and obviously you don't want to take your binder in the shower, but just those time periods where you can be able to just write down.
They do have a little like notepad for your shower that's like water resistant. It's got a little pencil. I've got one. I go through like 4 of them a year. It's ridiculous. So yeah, shower thoughts. Don't lose them.
You being dead serious right now?
No, I'm dead serious. You can get it online for like 10.
Okay.
Nice.
Mm.
But my one I actually brought in two because I couldn't pick just one, kind of like Joe. But I'll go with the first one. And I'll go with more like athletic realm, but it still works, I think, in life in general. But first one I had, more theoretical, I guess you could say. But the idea that just taking some pauses throughout our day just to reflect on things in the moment. You can call it what you want. Some people call it mindfulness. Some people just call it those pauses. But I think that really falls into the fact that our thinking in general, not all the time, but in general, is pretty flawed. It's kind of bad to say that because, it's like, oh man, we think we're right a lot of times. But I love to reference that there's this huge circle of all the biases, just all the tendencies that our brain kind of does things wrong. It's not always affects our lives in a big way, but just relationships, how we're thinking about things. So just taking pauses to really reflect, like, am I really thinking the right way? Is this really what's going on? Because we talk about it in our profession a lot about perception is reality, and our perception is not really that great. If anybody's taking a lot of psychology class, we show all the different ways that our brain doesn't always do it perfectly. And it's not our brain's necessarily fault. A lot of shortcuts, especially with our busy lives and things going on, but just taking some pauses just to reflect and maybe take a little time just to double back and see, like, am I actually thinking the right way? Am I seeing this correctly? Because a lot of relationships, co-working relationships, personal relationships, friends, really affected by these things. So that's kind of my more theoretical answer, I guess you could say, is just taking some pauses and just checking in on your thinking a little bit, some self-awareness.
That's good.
That it also kind of combines the two of your answers. Are you familiar with the interstitial journaling? Anyone?
Explain more.
Say more.
Especially for the people in the
audience. Yeah, for the people in the audience. I listened to this while somebody else was on LinkedIn Learning. This is not something I sought out to learn, but it was recommended to them. And interstitial journaling is this idea of journaling at transition periods throughout the day. And so it gives you a chance to write down and close the thing that you're working on, and also write down ideas, guidelines, however you want to do it with what you're about to do. So any transition you have, you journal it. And if you are able to put it on paper, you wrap whatever you were doing up in a bow and are finished with it a little bit more so it doesn't keep interrupting you as you move forward. Or if you realize you're not finished with it, keep working on it. And so in theory, it increases productivity. I struggle to keep the same journal with me. I was laughing when you guys both had your journals. I just have 600 million sticky notes. I showed up to our lab course with a sticky note that is bigger than a piece of paper. I didn't even know they made them. But it's as big as 2 or 3 of my heads, just in a square.
You've seen mine before. I love the like half kind of page sticky note. It's got the lines on there. That's what I use a lot.
Yeah, need it.
Yes, yeah.
Joe, you got everything. Clearly, Joe has it all. Right. You got all of them.
I tell you, write stuff down. You gotta have the stuff for it.
Yeah.
And my desk is multicolored with 6,000 sticky notes. I don't know where it goes, and that's why a journal would probably be a better alternative.
Do they say like there's specific transitions that are better to do this?
The context that they were talking about was a work from home where people struggle to close a call, close a project, and move into the next thing. I'm not sure too much the specifics of the research behind it. I can see maybe there's more productive things or less productive things to do. Some things might have more concrete end or start, and those you might not need to do it as much with. But I don't know for sure.
I forget who the person is. It might be Brendan Burchard. I'm not sure. He refers to them as gateways. So when you're moving from one kind of realm of life into another. So you're going from work to home. You're leaving your car, going into the office. Those transition or gateways. And I'm like, okay, how would I journal at that point?
Right. That's a good question.
I don't know. It's neat. I love the idea.
you might be able to take Kyle's answer and say that those are intentional moments of pause. If you can't have a notebook with you, just spitballing. I know I tried to challenge myself to drive to and from work lately. I don't remember it at all. I'm just clocked out. I am driving a car. I should not be doing this.
You're like, how did I get home today? Like, what did I even see? What did I change lanes? I've been there too many times. Where's autopilot the whole way?
Did I pass any cars? Did I get
Right.
past? Really couldn't tell
Yeah.
you the details. Was I close to hitting anyone? I don't know. Oh, man.
Was that your answer, Nick? Is that your answer, or was that just a kind of fun little nugget you want to drop in there?
That was not my answer.
Okay.
That just came to mind. My answer is inefficiency in some ways. And in other ways, I would call it playing devil's advocate. And I don't want to limit it to one scenario because I think you can do it with yourself or you can do it with other people. But when I was in my wormhole of creativity and rethinking things or trying to fight those biases that Kyle mentioned, I've noticed that playing devil's advocate, especially in group settings, can be very beneficial to creating the conflict that moves you forward. And if you can create it with yourself as well, that's awesome. Most of the time, my self-talk is super negative. I need to play devil's advocate to myself. There's also points where I just get yelled at and shouldn't be playing devil's advocate. So that's always a nice little asterisk there. Like we picked up a new Monopoly Go game or some card game. I don't know. They were playing it out at a base in Arizona. Anthony came back with a deck of cards. It's like, this game is sick. You guys are going to love it. You have to get 3 sets of Monopoly cards, like of the properties. So like your Boardwalk and I forget what the other blue one is, Times Square maybe.
Park Place.
But 3, what is it?
Park Place.
There it is. Yeah. So that'd be 1 set of properties. And then there's wild cards and other things mixed in entirely for chaos. The example of not being a good devil's advocate, my goal in this game is to get people upset and yell back at me. So every time they close a turn, I make them count their cards to tell me that they don't have too many cards, which has resulted in people saying, I know how to count. I don't have 8 cards. Or I will say that one person who hasn't been talking a lot has some loaded cards. I can tell because there's like a bend in one, something along those lines, and start accusing them of having a stacked hand. And I don't know.
Why are you like this? What compels you, man? Like, this is I don't think we've ever played a card game. We played plenty of other just hangout games together, but card games in particular, Nick, I'm glad I have not experienced with you. I promise you, like, we would things are gonna be thrown, all right? Hands, cards, I don't know what it is, all right?
Have you ever played Secret Hitler?
Secret who?
Secret Hitler.
No.
Okay. Well, the name is misleading. They've changed it to something else, I believe.
Extremely.
But essentially, like, there's an in and an out.
Okay, I played Mafia. Yeah.
Okay. So you're trying not to get caught. I'm guessing if you're in Mafia would be.
Yes, pretty much.
I used to vote opposite of my own interest the entire game just to see what would happen.
You'd be voted out so fast. I'd vote you out so fast.
And then they killed someone else. Bad guys are closer to winning, which I thought was funny.
Nick, there's a clip out here. Shannon Sharp hosts Club Shay Shay, right? And he did a bit with Cat Williams that went viral. It was hours long of conversation, and Cat Williams has a line in there, and he says, "You know, you have a strange attraction to losers, and that's just not like you." Nick, I'm getting that vibe right now. Like, why would you do like this? This is not who I thought who I've known you to be. Why are you doing these things, Nick? We need to take a pause, right? We need to take a pause. Nick, you need to write down a couple things here so we can go through this, so we can get to the bottom of why you are doing these things, all right?
So, in seriousness, I'll cop out with the answer that it's about the process, not the outcome. So in a lot of things in life, that process and that creative, I'm going to say conflict with yourself, with other people, drives multiple perspectives, which think allows you to then choose the right perspective. Am I a little bit more burdensome to people around me sometimes? 100%. But I think that's what drives a lot of the creativity and innovation as well. So
Okay.
that's why it's my actual answer.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough.
That's
Totally fair.
legit. So, along that line, there's something that I was just recently exploring, like the idea of having healthy conflict in a group setting to get to those deeper ideas, finding that what is inherently true about a problem, if you're trying to figure it out, you got to have somebody like a Nick that's going to throw out some stuff, play devil's advocate, just mess with things, because you don't want groupthink to set in. But, and I think probably why this is, you've had some struggles with this, Nick. The group first has to have a strong base of trust and understanding with each other.
Mm-hmm.
If you go into it just like with a bunch of people, even like coworkers that you've worked with for a long time, if that is not what they're after, yeah, you're a menace. But in the right environment with the right people, it's an incredibly powerful thing. It's a really great thing. I mean, even in our work, the Army does, it's called red teaming. They have someone who's deliberately playing the opponent, and they help point out flaws in a plan and making sure that there's something that we're not missing. So it's absolutely essential.
It's pretty good.
I think that's a great point, Nick.
Also, it reminds me, we've been really getting down this with a lot of the groups we've been working with, of the conflict styles. I don't know if you guys know about the conflict styles. It's 5 different ways that kind of people respond to conflict. And Nick's definitely like full on sharking it, going into like a sly fox over there, trying to play the field. But I've been with Nick. I've worked with Nick a decent amount, and actually, I kind of enjoy Nick sometimes in that way, because I'm kind of that way as well. I'm like, let's just stir the pot a little bit. Let's just see what comes out the other side. Nick usually takes a little bit further than what I would take it, but that's Nick for you.
Hey, Kyle, for those who don't know, will you walk us through those 5 conflict styles, or just give us the names, and if people want to, they can look into those more?
Yeah. So the 5 styles are all centered around animals, because animals are pretty easy to think about, but they have their actual names along with it. But they got sharks, which are more the aggressive type. They're called a competing style. They want to win the conversation. They want to win whatever conflict it is. Then you got your owls. They're more the collaborators. They're the ones who want to hear from everybody. They want to hear all the ideas, kind of sorted out. It just takes a decent amount of time to do that, but they're the collaborators trying to get everybody on the same page, trying to hear all the ideas. You got your sly fox, which I'll give Nick a little bit of that. They are more pragmatic. They care about the solution and stuff, but they also care about people. So they usually listen a little bit more and then jump on the majority, whoever is kind of winning the situation there. So that's where Nick, I guess, kind of goes opposite from there. And then you got your turtles, which everybody kind of knows. Turtles, hard outer shell. They like to kind of hide there, so they avoid conflict at all costs. They're the ones that most people get kind of frustrated with, because they're like, hey, we need to have this conversation. Like, yeah. Or they're the people that leave you on red. You send a text like, hey, we need to have a conversation, and they read it, and they just don't respond back. That's your more turtles. That you're avoiding. And Fox, forgot to say that. That one's more of our compromising, so they compromise to the situation. And then you got some people call it teddy bears. I like to call them golden retrievers. If you know golden retriever, they're just lovey-dovey, happy-go-lucky people. They don't want conflict. They just want everybody to be happy. So they kind of just, whatever other people think and want, that's what we'll go with. Okay. The people pleasers. A lot of people call them that. Each one has its pros, but each one has its cons as well. So it's kind of what style you kind of go to, what situation kind of is. So each one, Nick's kind of more aggressive sometimes.
You didn't get a kick out of this, but we've done this, and we've gotten our scores as an office in the past. And my highest 2 were, I think, turtle and shark. But I think it went shark turtle.
Really?
But at the same time, there was no more than 2 or 3 separating any of the styles. Like, they were all pretty much the middle.
Yeah. So the fox. Yeah, the fox is in the middle.
Yeah. So if you graph me, yeah, the fox.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Man, all right. I don't want to leave myself out of this for my answer for the smallest change you can make. I would have to say, or I've come up with winning at three things in a day. And I intentionally chose the number three because I feel like that is a very attainable number, right? It's attainable, but it also is a bit challenging. And when I say win at three things in the day, it's either actively winning at them, or when you reflect on your day, you have gratitude for three things that you've done for that day, right? So it creates internally, you feel accomplished at the end of your day, and then the next day it also gives you something to look forward to. So for me, two of my staples are making my bed and doing my push-ups in my core every single day. Like, those are my two wins that are a staple. And then the third one I have to go find, right? The third one can be if somebody brings me a problem, or they're asking for help with something, I help them solve it. We put a pretty bow on it. It's all wrapped up. I count that as a win. And three doesn't have to be the limit. It could be more than that, but three is the minimum here, right? Give yourself something to work towards, an attainable number. But when you look back at your day, you can say, wow, like, I accomplished these things today. This is great. Sometimes those will lead to things down for the rest of the week, the next day, for the month, right? You have something like, okay, I started this project. Cool. I got 2% done today. 2% is better than none, right? So I got 2% done. Now, tomorrow, can I get another 2 or 3% done, right? It doesn't have to be these large leaps all the time. Sometimes, again, and this is perfect for our topic, small incremental changes over time that help lead to large changes over life. So, yeah, just like in summary, find three wins in your day. Find three things that you can win at in your day, or at the end of your day, reflect and identify three things that you won at during that day, and then get ready to do that same thing over again the next day.
Michael, you already have three today. You push ups, you made your bed, and you got the cookie. So there's your.
And I got the cookie. The cookie's a half win. I gotta get another half win in this evening somehow. So I don't know what it's gonna be. But like, the cookie is the half win. The cookie is the reward. I take that back. The cookie is the reward for my three wins. So I had a quarter of a piece earlier, right? So I get to finish that cookie once I finish out my wins for the day.
That's good. Mike, along that line, in your experience, which would you prefer though? Would you prefer to have the intention going forward of, like, I'm going to find my wins, or the review side of, I'm going to look back and see what can I basically mentally spin for a win?
If I had to pick one, I'm a reviewer, right? I have the thought process or the approach of, I don't know what today is going to bring, but whatever it is, I'm gonna excel at it, and I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna bring my best self, right? There's no telling, when I go to the gym and I coach and I have clients, what, for lack of a better word, problems or issues they bring into the gym, what concerns they have. All right, well, I can identify that, either whether you tell me or I visually see it and I can tell something's off, and I ask a question about it. I help them break it down. All right, well, let's work through this. Like, let's see how you're feeling about this. And if we need to call today off and you need to take a rest day because you're mentally not engaged, or you're physically not able to today, then let's do that. Like, we can take this off. We can stretch today. We can relax. That's just one example. Another one could be something as simple as being at the grocery store, right? Like, somebody needs help, and it happens to me all the time. People ask me, hey, can I borrow you for a minute? Like, I need help getting some of these items off the top shelf. Can you help me with this stuff? Right? Like, I will gladly help you. And for me, that's a win. Like, I'm putting good into my community, into the world, and hopefully that good creates a ripple big enough that it reaches the person who needs it, whether it be today, next week, or at the end of this month. Like that. So that's the approach I would take, or I would prefer personally, is I'm going to review what I did today and see if I, in my head, can identify those three wins or those three areas that I helped people or made somebody's life better.
Love that.
That reminds me of what we talked a little about forgot to mention, do a little coaching with the high school wrestling here in Rolla, and we tell the athletes, because they always try to get so much better every day, and really talking about just get 1% better every day, right? If you can get 1% better every
Yeah.
day, especially just in natural life, maybe don't hit it one day, but if you get 1% better, I mean, you got 365 days in a year. That's over 300% better.
Right.
That's quite a bit. But if you just break down little by little, and as we talk about this small change, right? Small changes, it doesn't have to be large changes. Whether it's trying to be healthier, trying to be more fit, trying to do something in professional life, trying to grow in your career. You just do one little thing, whether it's each week or each day or just a month, whatever. It depends on your time period. You just get a little better. It starts to add up pretty quickly. Yeah, reflecting too. Write it down.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah, well, one of the funny things we always talk about is the consistency is both the most crucial, the smallest magnitude, and the hardest part to do. And so replicating those smaller things over and over and over again. I think it's funny when Mike says one of his wins is the push-ups and core. Unless you've been deathly sick recently, you've got to be at like 4 years straight of core almost.
No, because I had surgery.
Okay.
Probably going on either just past 2 years, or I think it's just past 2 years. I think I'm pretty sure it's just past 2 years. But ever since then, like ever since I was able to get back on it, I've been at it. So I think it's been 2 years and some change that I've done it every single day. There was one day I was on my way home, and I lived in Louisville, Kentucky, and I was driving to Cincinnati. There was hours of traffic because, come to find out, the next day there was a semi truck accident way up ahead. So it had the highways backed up. Like, ended up turning around and going home. But I knew that I wouldn't have made it back home before the day ended. So we're dead stopped on the highway. People got their cars turned off. I'm sitting there. I'm like, all right, well, I got to do it here. I hop out the car in the middle of I-71 North. I'm on the highway doing push-ups, doing core, so I can get it in before the day is over, before I get on the next like little turnaround to head back home. Yeah.
So he's trying to
Which
say
is insane.
he's got core for days.
Anytime we talk fitness, Mike's like, you just got to start with the core. And he'll look at me, and I don't know how many times I've heard this now. It hasn't sunk in yet because the consistency is the hardest part. I've tried it a couple times, but he's like, you have no excuse not to have 10 minutes.
Right.
Like, you can find 10 minutes to do some core. So if that's what you want to do, and that's actually like where you want to be, stop making excuses. Just do 10 minutes. It'll be over before you know it. It'll be over before you're done complaining about it.
Right. And even to that point, right, it doesn't have to be just core. And when I talk about 10 minutes, it doesn't have to be a full working 10 minutes. Like, if you do 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, you're already down to 5 minutes, right? Like 5 actual minutes of doing work. If you go up to 40 seconds of work and 20 seconds of rest, what are you at now? 7.5 or 8 minutes, whatever that number comes out to. Like, it doesn't have to be a full 10 minutes. So you have to, right, it's like a mindset change around, like, wow, like this 10 minutes is going to be a full 10 minutes. I'm not stopping. No, like, give yourself that break in between there, some of that flexibility. Like, be kind to yourself in those moments. Like, all right, this was enough for me today.
Yeah, I completely agree. And Mike, you said you got a nice little question over there.
I'm gonna save it for the end, because I got some stuff coming down here. And maybe I'll ask it now, so we can get some thoughts around it as we wrap up in a little bit. But I really think this is the first time I've heard of the 5 conflict styles: sharks, owls, sly fox, turtle, and then golden retrievers. And I would love for us to identify which one we think we are. And I'm sure, Kyle, is there a test out here that you can take to get a more accurate answer? How does that work?
There probably is. I just have people kind of identify, because there's a lot of personality tests out there, and it all depends on your honesty. So, like, to be honest, it's more about self-awareness. Just what are you kind of lean towards? Because whatever you think you probably are, probably is anyways. And then just awareness of how you use it is more like being more aware of, okay, I'm in a conflict. Like, am I being a shark? And the groups I've used it with kind of start identifying other people, so you can kind of like, oh yeah, this is your tendency. So other people are probably better at identifying it necessarily sometimes than you are, because they see your behavior. They kind of already, oh man,
Fair.
I don't have this conflict. This person, he's more of a shark or whatever it might be.
Fair. Right, right. Okay, that makes total sense. So with that, the question I want to end with when we get to it here are the 5 conflict styles. And for those of you all listening in and watching here, feel free to jump in on this and identify with one, right? Find one that you think you closely identify with, that is the most relatable to you. So we have sharks, which are the competitors, those who compete in a group setting, right? Need to win the argument, like make the biggest point. The owls are the collaborators. They want to, and Kyle, correct me if I'm wrong here, right? They want to collaborate, bring ideas together, not necessarily focus on the people, but just collaboration as a whole for the group. Correct?
Yeah, they usually focus on they want solution and people, so they care about both. It
Okay.
just takes a little more time. Yeah.
Got you. All right, so cool. We got owls. You have your sly fox. Those are going to be those people who are pragmatic, solutions and people. You have your turtles. They avoid conflict, and then the golden retrievers. They pretty much want harmony, right? They want us to be one big happy family here. Are those 5 pretty accurate?
Yeah, I'd say they're pretty accurate.
Okay, cool. So, for us, we're going to identify, for those listening, I want you to identify which one you may think you resonate with the most. But I also want us to think about which one is the exact opposite of who we are, right? The exact opposite. And on top of that, for the week or the month ahead, see if you can take, kind of like Nick does, right? Go against the grain and take a different approach than what you would normally take, right? So for somebody who is a shark, who is a competitor, what if you take maybe a turtle or golden retriever approach? You take a backseat for a second, listen first, maybe avoid conflict, try to bring some harmony, just right, just to change things up. So that's a little activity I would love for us to go through at the end. Because at the end, I think it'd be good just to take one of those reflective moments, like, like this would be very, very different for me. I wonder how I would in a group setting or in a couple people together work through this.
So I love it. I think we can jump in right now. I also just sent one in the chat to you guys. All I Googled was conflict styles animal quiz, and it pulled up a couple of images as well.
Sweet.
I thought there were axes for these. There are. And Kyle's alluded to them a little bit too. But the turtle thinks that whatever you're doing, your goal is not important and the relationship is not particularly important. So when you're in that avoiding style, that's kind of what's going on. If you think that the goal is important but the people aren't important, then you wind up in that shark category, and that's when you start imposing and competing. If you think that the relationship is important but the goal isn't necessarily as important, then you end up in the golden retriever and become that accommodating individual. And then the owl thinks the goal and the relationship are important, and so the fox is in the middle of it. But if you're trying to truly do like the opposite of what you are, then I guess golden retriever is the opposite of shark, and owl is the opposite of turtle, and fox, you probably have enough awareness to realize what you're bad at. So, as a fox, I'm not good at the golden retriever at all.
And I like to think about it like everybody tries to like put it in just one box, but I like to think, as you said, Nick, like this kind of graph approach, right? Where do you kind of fall within there? Like you can be, I'm a little bit, I'm for me, right? I'm gonna give a cop out answer, but I'm kind of between like a sly fox and an owl. I usually like to collaborate, but sometimes I just like I'm gonna be pragmatic. I do care about people enough, and sometimes I just don't care about the solution as much. So I'm gonna be like, I'll just wait till people kind of get a consensus. I'll jump on that boat, ride the bandwagon all the way to the end. So I'd say I'm kind of halfway in between that that fox and the collaborator. Definitely go shark if I need to, though. I'll put my idea out.
Looking at this, I'm definitely much more of an owl typically, like wanting to make sure that we manage the people, connect with people. Like for me, the relationship aspect is really important. It's always the most important. And for me, I know that I'll get to a spot where if I feel it's a gridlock, like, okay, the goal importance starts to drop down and I'll slip
Yeah.
more to that kind of golden retriever. Like, okay, as long as the harmony is maintained, as long as the group functions, we can at least get back to the goal at some point. But if you break the group, then you got a problem. So
Right.
I'm typically more of an owl bleeding into more of the golden retriever.
So, Mike, what do you think you are?
Nick.
That's the greatest question.
Dang it. I tried to give it to Nick first, but I'll take it. I guess, Nick, you kind of answered. So for me, I would say I'm an owl, just based on, and it's kind of weird to say because as I look back on the teams I've been on, the projects I've worked on, and life as younger Michael, I would say I was very much so a turtle or golden retriever. Like for me, it was like conflict is bad. I gotta avoid this. If people are mad at me, things won't get accomplished. I've done something wrong. Like it was always pointing the finger at myself, like, whoa, I gotta take a step back here and get people to like me so we can work towards this goal still. But as I got older and I started realizing we have to have progress. Like things have to get done. If we stop completely, we're not doing anybody any good. So the owl is what I resonate with the most. Collaborating, right? Caring about people, caring about the goal. Sometimes the goal becomes a little more important, and feelings get thrown out the window. That balance goes back and forth. And if I pick the opposite, according to Nick, um, it would be the turtle, but I would even say even more past that. For me, it'd probably be the golden retriever, maybe. Like the whole harmony, everybody being one big happy family. I'm completely past that. Like I'm to the point where, hey, all right, look, if you don't if you don't like it, if you don't like me, if you don't like the person next to you, like so what? You're not gonna like everybody in life. Like I will politely tell you that, like, hey, look, you got to get over yourself today. All right, that is not your cup of tea. You realize that, go find somebody else to like, go find somebody else to work with, and let's get this done, right? We can go out, grab tacos and mull over this later on, but right now that's not important. Like get over yourself so we can get this stuff done. The whole harmony thing, nah, toss it out the window. So that is that is probably something I need to get back to a little bit and be a little less harsh or strict about in that arena.
Might have a shark denier in our midst.
Mm. Mm. I don't.
That usually is the one that people try to defend against because it does sound bad, right? Be aggressive, you don't care about people, but like with any of them, they're very productive. You can be productive with any of them. Even the turtle kind of gets talked down a lot because like avoiding conflict, like that's
Fair.
not good. But there is a lot of things in our life that's so small, like that's such a menial thing, as you're saying. Like why are we fighting about this? Why are we having conflict? Just
Right.
let somebody else win and move on. So each style has its thing, but usually the sharks are a little bit deniers that I've seen, anyways. Just because like
So
I'm
maybe
not
I
too.
am a shark. I mean, I'm not mad. I'm not mad to be called a shark. So maybe I am a shark, and I think I'm cool with that. If that is the case, like if that's changed over time and I'm now a shark, like cool. I'm totally fine with that. But I appreciate you pointing that out. I'm gonna have to think about that one. I'm gonna this next like we could. I mean, walking around like, am I being aggressive right now? Like, did I give them a fair shot, or did I just dismiss everything that they said? All right.
And that's the biggest thing.
Okay.
Not to take it over, but that's what I've talked to everybody about. This is just a little. I guess going back to my answer to the question, just that little pause. Like, am I being a shark right now? Am I being too much of a turtle? Am I trying to collaborate too much? Do we need to like not worry so much about people? Like that's just that little pause and thinking.
And
Okay.
to Kyle's point, I actually found a little sheet that gives us an advantage and a disadvantage of each. Because
Yeah.
I love the turtle. I think the turtle is the happiest because they're just ducking all the chaos around them at the same time. And so they've got the turtle knows when to back down from a fight and take time to resolve conflict by reflecting. So they're able to, avoid the chaos and the construction on the highway when appropriate. And they kind of pitch it as knowing when to do each, right? If you're always a turtle, maybe that's not the best thing ever, but
Yeah.
there are times to be a turtle. And Disadvantage is when the conflict is remained unsolved. Overuse of this leads to you being walked over.
Right.
And usually
Also,
lack of trust as well. Usually with that, because especially if you're a shark,
yeah,
you get pretty bad, pissed off at those people. Like, no, we're trying to get to a freaking solution. Like, let's get there. Like, stop avoiding me.
yeah. And I was going to say the shark to me sounds super passionate as well. The problem is when you get the shark fox combo. Not that any of us would ever be that, but what they have under the shark is that if the shark's decision is correct, their focus and determination drives success. If it's not, that's tough. So that's an interesting wrinkle too. But yeah, I got a kick out of those. We usually do one final question, which is how do you want to apply something from today to your life, be it the next week, next however long, just an area of awareness to build on. It gets not only us thinking, but gives the listeners a chance to steal any ideas and think for themselves too. I recently found out my mom is also a listener, so that was really cool. So you guys
That's
can
pretty sweet.
feel free to say hi to Mama
Hi,
Davis.
Nick's mom.
She was like, "It feels like I'm hanging out with you more." It's like, that's so sweet.
Man, you need to make a drive home. All right, you need to go to New York. Okay, that was
This is
her.
your mother.
Right,
Yeah,
that was her
follow
subtle
her.
way of saying come home.
We
Yes.
text good night every night. Most of the time she's on time. Sometimes it's the next morning for me, but I don't think she's missed one good night text in like
That's not enough.
college.
That's not enough, Nick.
I know. That's all right. I'm going for my nephew's birthday soon, so that'll be really cool.
No. All right, listen, you just missed it. Right, go for her. No. You don't need to. I'm going for my nephew's birthday. I'm gonna see her on the side. No, she needs to be the main.
New house. Going for all of them. He's turning 4. He still doesn't remember things yet, respectfully. So,
Okay. All right.
but anyway, how we'll wrap the show up today is in the area of conflict that you would say you are weaker in. What's one strategy you can take to either utilize that more at appropriate moments or build a little bit more skills in that opposite direction? So for me, I could use Kyle's trick of taking pauses to bite my tongue a little bit more and realize that it doesn't matter if you win this conversation, especially with things like the college football playoff coming up. Doesn't matter if I'm right or wrong about who's in the playoff, right? Like that's an easy example where it's all right if you're wrong, it's all right if you're right. Probably don't want to put that argument above any relationship. Nonetheless, I'll get into some arguments on it. So my goal is to get into at least less, have a little bit of self-awareness to bite my tongue, because I always get into those with sports in particular.
Huh. Okay, I'll
That's a
go.
good question.
Yeah, that's tough. I'd say with mine, trying to go more towards the turtle. Things kind of rile me up, and I want solutions done, which is very, very bad working sometimes within the military, because they're like, yeah, we'll get there, and like, we're just going to do this because. And I'm like, no, we got to figure out the best solution. So sometimes just, being able to, I don't want to say sweep things on the rug, but just like care a little bit less, like, because there's, people can care too much about a lot of things. And when you spread yourself thin, then you can't have yourself being at your best throughout. So just, kind of picking battles or placing importance. I think that's a big thing I've been trying to do in my life. Trying to do a lot of things at the same time, and realizing that wherever you put your time is where you place your importance. So try and do less time on those unimportant things I don't really care too much about. And I think I've done a little better over my time, got a little wiser, get a little more gray in the beard and the hair, that helps, I think, as well. Yeah, just sounds kind of bad, but just care about things a little bit less, especially things that aren't important to me. You
Totally
get
fair.
that as you go a little older. I think they say less F's you give, right? I have less F's to give. Yeah, that's kind of what it is. I'm getting less and less.
I think I'm actually the flip of you. So being more of the people person. Being more of the people person. Like I'm definitely inclined to overinvest in people. Also to the point of like people will walk over me. And it's because I'm more likely to not care about the goal. So for me, moving probably more toward a shark, honestly, not giving up on the goal so much. It's something I've been thinking about a lot lately, just in terms of kind of the general state of the world. I know a lot of people are dealing with a lot of hopelessness. It's like it's bad and things suck, and the lack of hope for a lot of people, I think, is out there. And one of the essential ingredients for hope is you gotta have a goal. You gotta believe that the end state that you're trying to work toward is better than the current place that you're at. And I think, at least for me, I know if I'm likely to give up on a goal, that hope that I typically have a lot of is at risk. So being more invested in the goal, not allowing myself to kind of give up on that just for the sake of pleasing people that maybe I don't really care about their opinion so much. So that's my thought.
That's good. That's good. Nick, I'll answer and I'll let you wrap up here.
Wow.
So I would say I'm probably on the same page as Nick. Being intentional about that pause, taking time, and it's going to be something that's really challenging for me because I can quickly move from one task to another and bank it, put it away, and not come back to it until I need to. But taking that time to pause, figuring out if there are any additional details that I can wrap up or any loose ends that I can maybe just put a small bow on for the time being, and then come back to it and use that as a transitional time into the next thing that I'm working on, into what I have to get done next, and then being able to come back to that and wrap it out. There are times where I'll just dart from one spot to another, one idea, one task, and either the task before gets lost, I forget about it, or it'll linger in the back of my mind and I will let it affect the next thing that I'm working on or that I'm doing. I was texting my sister earlier, and she asked me, she said, we were talking about something. I sent her a message on November 7th, and I said, hey, I've been thinking about doing like a summer running camp and clinic, and you said you were down to talk, and David, who is her husband, seemed interested. Would y'all be willing to talk? And it was an idea I had, and I told her, I was like, I had to get this out or I was gonna forget. And I sent it to her, and she texted me back, not maybe a couple hours later, like she was in the middle of something. And I just forgot to text her back. Like I had to get the idea out there. So like if I had maybe taken time to pause on that, like, all right, cool, send this, follow up with her, and then make this a seamless like process, maybe we would be further along with this question. But she texted me today like, hey, you never responded to me to a question that you asked. Like, what's up with that? Like, why are you? And I was like, yo, I am totally sorry. Like, that was not my intent. I just had to get it out before I forgot it. So again, being intentional about that pause, I think that would remedy some of these quick thoughts and ideas. Like, all right, it's out there. All right, cool. Now it's out there. What is the next step past that to build on this?
I like that. And that ties in nicely with Joe's point about, you know, you've got this direction, you've got this thing that you want. So now let's talk about that gets there. So it's all coming together.
Yeah.
Another really fun episode. So again, thank you to Kyle and thank you to Joe. If you made it this far and you haven't liked or commented or subscribed, what was our tagline for that? It's free? No, it wasn't. It's free. Treat yourself. Yeah.
It was treat yourself, and then you said something on a couple of episodes like do yourself the favor. Right? I don't remember what it was. Whatever it was, hey, y'all are here. All right, so I'm being a shark right now. Do it, okay? You made it this far. Do yourself the favor. You clearly like this content. You're 55 minutes deep right now. Like, share, and comment, all right? Let us know that what we're doing is benefiting you in some way, shape, or form. That's what we're going to say to that.
Yeah, we might even quote the great Russo, another guest of the show. He used to look at people and say, 3, 2, 1, do it. Consider this our 3, 2, 1, do it. Now you have to subscribe and like this video.
You have to. You have to. As always, we appreciate y'all for tuning in. Kyle and Joe, thank y'all so much for your insight, your time, everything that you all brought to this episode. This was a really, really fun episode. And again, if there are any platforms, anything that you all want to highlight, feel free to do so. And you can give the listeners a good goodbye here.
Yeah,
Thank you all for having us. No, I win. I'm doing the shark thing. I'm trying it. No, thank you all for having me on. This is a blast. I love getting to talk about this stuff and hear other people's viewpoints on things. So, yeah, if you're curious as a listener about any of this stuff and you want to know more, feel free to reach out. Pester Nick, he can get you in contact with me. But, yeah, have fun, be safe, and take care of each other, I suppose.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks guys for letting me nerd out. I love it. Talking about this stuff. This is what I enjoy. Very passionate about. So thanks a lot. And people can reach out to me, Mental Mechanics, or just reach out to Nick, Michael. They can get in contact with me. Thanks a lot, guys.
Cool. Appreciate y'all. Men to Mind, episode 9. We out of here. Peace.